It's funny how in this day and age, one of the things that we typically look at in the Western world as weak, and we don't look at it with perhaps the right lens, is the idea of apologizing and the idea of humility. And sometimes we think that if somebody has wronged us and we have an opportunity to forgive them, we're giving away our power and we're showing weakness and we're allowing ourselves to be doormats. Have you ever heard that one before? Well, if I forgive them, they're just going to do it again. And then if I forgive them again, they're just going to do it again. And you know what? I'm too good for that. And I shouldn't have to deal with that. And I'm going to remove those people from my life. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that we want to have a lot of toxic, harmful people in our lives. I'm not saying that by any means. But I am saying that it's just ironic how some of the most bitter people that you probably know are the people that have a real hard time forgiving people. And the people in life that have a hard time forgiving people, the saddest thing is it's usually something that they kind of wear around their neck, and the people that have wronged them probably have no clue. We all have that person in our life, don't we? That person that talks about, woe is me because 7 years ago, my friend kicked my cat and he never apologized and we got in a big fight and he wronged me and I've never forgiven him because it shows weakness and blah, 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 blah. Well, we all know that we have those times in our life. And I'll tell you, there's a story that I can think back on in my own life. There's a gentleman, let's just call him John. And back in the time, I was working as a sales manager in a retail store. And let's just say that John comes into my store and he was dealing with some of my staff. And my staff maybe that was treating him maybe didn't use the best etiquette with him, let's say. They sold him something and said, you know what, if you're not happy with it, come on back anytime and it's fine, take this, go ahead and leave, and when you come back, if you're not happy with it, we'll gladly take it back. Well, there was a little bit more to it than that. So a few days later, John comes back, and John didn't have all of the proper policies and procedures into place. John was quite upset, and myself, as the person that was now being brought into this conflict, was basically saying, no, John, you've got to understand there's policies and there's procedures in place and you're wrong. And can't you read this receipt because it clearly says da 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 da. And I'm basically telling John, you're wrong, I'm right, and I've got it in black and white and on paper here. And I could look at this fella, and he was probably 3 times my size. He was probably wanting to literally grab me by the neck and rip me over the counter and take me outside. And I had a minute to just kind of cool off and go in the back, and I thought about it, and I thought, what's the right thing to do here? And it's amazing how I said, hey, John, let's go outside. And we walked outside and I said, you know what? I want to tell you, I'm really sorry for the way you were treated. And I really feel as though I've been doing the wrong thing and I'm going to make your problems go away. I'm really sorry. The reality is it was 2 egos clashing and I was probably being kind of a jerk. And it's funny how all of a sudden, John, this guy that's way bigger than me, and I'm literally probably wouldn't want to see this guy walking down a dark alley, he just literally started tearing up and he said, you know what? And all of a sudden now, me and John, we've gone out for dinner before and we're good friends. And John, if you're watching this, you probably know who you are. And that's why I'm not naming you. But I got to say, there's such humility and power and strength in bearing our own ego and forgiveness, and for asking for forgiveness, and for never, when somebody is asking for forgiveness, always receiving it, always saying, I accept that apology, because it's so horrible in our society how we view that as weak. And often we walk around and we can keep inventory of every wrong that we've ever had for the last 7 or 10 or 15 years, and we can never forget it. And the worst part is it doesn't really impact anybody else except for you or people that want to kind of stay away from you because they go, oh, one of these kind of people, okay, I'm going to kind of keep my distance. You can kind of smell it from a mile away. So as you're watching this, I want to remind you that regardless of how you feel, whether you've got an ego in place or whether you feel as though you're right, there's a lot of power and a lot of humility and a lot of strength that comes in forgiveness